Recorded live from a home studio in the Garden State, it's the Backstage Kingdom podcast. And now, here's your host, Michael Saint Gregory.
Last week, we talked about the handshake. We talked about the business deal that brought Star Wars to Disney and how I accidentally held the door open for $4 billion. This week, I want to talk about the contract you signed. You didn't know you signed it. It wasn't on paper. You didn't have to scroll down and click I agree on a terms of service update. Now, more often than not, every time you sign into Disney Plus, which is really trying to push lately for you to get that bundle with Hulu. Has anybody else been getting that? Every time I log into Disney Plus, it just is really wanting me to get that all-in-one Sorry, I digress. That's a whole other tangent. I've been watching it a lot lately, binging through all the Marvel movies. Anyway, that's a whole other thing that I have to deal with. But the moment you walked through the turnstiles of the Disney-MGM Studios in 1989, you entered into a very specific, unspoken agreement with the Walt Disney Company. The agreement was this: you're not here to watch a movie. You're here to be in the movie. And for 28 years, that contract was enforced by a group of polyester tuxedo-wearing performers driving 70-passenger theater cars through a humid soundstage in Central Florida. I'm talking, of course, about the Great Movie Ride. To the casual guest, it was a nice air-conditioned nap through wonderful scenes of cinema. It was a place to get out of the rain. But to those of us who went on it, more often than not, obsessively, and you know who you are, yours truly included, this ride was a beast. It was a logistical wonder. It was a masterpiece of industrial theater. And it smelled distinctly of burnt rubber. But we'll get to that in a moment. I'm Michael St. Gregory, and welcome back to the Backstage Kingdom. Let's set the stage. It's 1989. The Disney-MGM Studios has just opened, 1 year before Universal Studios in Orlando. Now, the rumor is that Michael Eisner actually overheard the development of the park during a lunch meeting at Paramount while he was still president. I don't necessarily know if that's been validated or if it's even been corroborated or if it's even true, but I wouldn't hold it past him. I'm sure there are plenty of other videos by wonderful other channels on YouTube that go a lot more in-depth on it. However, the case was still that studios opened first. And the thesis statement of the entire park is located at the end of Hollywood Boulevard, a full-scale recreation of Grauman's Chinese Theater. It is massive, it is imposing, and inside they built something that, quite honestly, they truly just don't make anymore. Modern rides nowadays are all about trackless technology. You look at Rise of the Resistance in Galaxy's Edge, or Runaway Railway, the replacement of the Great Movie Ride. The cars dance, they spin, they separate. But the Great Movie Ride itself, this was literally heavy metal. The ride vehicles were these massive lumbering beasts called AGVs, automated guided vehicles. Imagine a city bus, but slice the roof off, And instead of a steering wheel, it follows a wire, a copper wire, buried in the concrete floor. I've seen it. I've walked the floor. It's so invisible, you wouldn't even know. These things were essentially traveling movie theaters, and that was the whole point. You were riding the movies before Universal Studios made it their tagline. And they held about 70 people. And unlike every other ride where you sit in silence, or maybe you listen to a recorded narration, in this ride, you had a human being. You had the tour guide. And I'd like to take a moment to salute the tour guides of the Great Movie Ride, because this was not an easy gig. You're wearing your polyester tuxedo or the white shirt with the suspenders and the newsboy cap, depending on what era it was. In Florida, in August or any of the summer months, or any month at that time where the water in the air was just liquefied in some, non-Newtonian state, and it was very just disgusting. You're standing up on a moving vehicle for 22 minutes at a time, and you have to deliver a script that is, even at Disney theme park standards, cheesy. You have to sell it. You have to look at the same audio animatronics and act like you're seeing them for the first time every single time. But the real magic of the ride, and the thing that kept you coming back over and over again, was the split. Now, if you visited the park anytime between 2010 and 2017, you probably have a very specific memory of this ride. You drive into a 1930s Chicago set. It's dark, it's moody. A gangster runs out, shoots up the place, kicks your tour guide off the tram, and hijacks your vehicle. In fact, let's take you to that scene right now. Hold on to those wallets and purses, folks. This doesn't look like a very good neighborhood. In fact, it looks a lot like the underworld. The scene of such classic gangster films like Public Enemy, starring one of my favorite tough guys, James Cagney.
The first time I see him. You and who else? Oh, you dirty double-crossing. Open up in there, you hear me? Listen, Mug. We got a little business to settle. Yeah. And I'm telling you, for the very last time, when Dutch comes around, he's gonna leave you some beer, and you're gonna take it. And you're gonna kick in with the dough. And if you don't, somebody's gonna drop by here and kick your teeth out one at a time. Get me?
I get you. Now beat it. Somebody's coming. Get down.
Is it them?
Nah, just a bunch of rubbernecking tourists.
Shut up, you two. You want to blow our cover?
Sorry about the delay, folks. I don't want to run a red light, even if it is just a movie.
Psst. Hey, you.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
No, wise guy. I'm talking to the dame in the funny-looking outfit over there. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Come here.
I'm not supposed to leave my vehicle.
I said get over here.
Whatever you say, Muggsy.
Hey, how'd you know my name anyway?
Oh, I've seen this movie before.
The heat's on, see? And your fancy cars might think it out of here, so beat it!
Oh no, you're making a big mistake.
I said scram out of here, you're gonna get hurt!
On second thought, I could go out for some popcorn.
I hear you. Rub 'em out. Hey, you mugs, this ain't a fair fight. You're next if you don't shut up. Everybody sit tight. One of the red lights against the law, and I never break the law. Hey, kid, watch this. No more red light. Sorry, boys. I'm making my getaway. Give my regards to the warden, suckers.
What are you looking at?
Everybody mind your P's and Q's and maybe nobody'll get hurt.
Now, what if I told you there was a version of that same scene where you got hijacked, but it was by a cowboy, and the bank that they were robbing blew up, and the Clint Eastwood animatronic watched you get taken hostage? Half of you would say, well, I remember that. And the other half would say, well, you're hallucinating. That never happened. This is some sort of Mandela effect. Now, by the time I was working at the park, the cowboy scene had become the Loch Ness Monster of attraction experiences. It was a myth. It was a rumor. So let's pull back the curtain. Let's look at the operations manual. And I just so happen to have a copy of it right here. So, there we are. And this thing's heavy. The ride was designed to run with 2 trains dispatching at once. So imagine a platoon. You have the A unit, the lead car, and the B unit, the rear car. Now pay attention, because this is where the genius of 1980s Imagineering comes in. It all came down to a traffic light. If you were in the B unit, the rear car, you entered the gangster scene. Your driver would see a red traffic light at the end of the street. They'd hit the brake. They'd say the line, "Sorry folks, I can't run a red light," even if it is just a movie. That stop, that red light, that was the trigger. That's what started the gangster show. But if you were in the A unit, the lead car, you entered that same street about 45 seconds earlier. And for you, the light was green. Your driver didn't stop. They drove right through 1930s Chicago. Maybe they made a snarky comment about the neighborhood being seedy, but they kept moving. They drove past the gangster set, through the tunnel, and into the next room, the Wild West. And that is where the A unit stopped. This is where the cowboy showed up. So why do most of you only remember the gangster? 2 words: capacity reduction. Or, as you would probably understand it, saving money. To run the full show, both the cowboy and the gangster, you needed 4 actors per cycle, 2 guides, 2 villains. To run just the gangster, you only needed 3. So for the last decade of the ride's life, unless it was Christmas or the park was absolutely slammed, even if you were the only car on the track, the computer said, you are car B. You stopped at the red light, you got the gangster, you drove past the cowboy scene without stopping. The cowboy became a luxury item. It became a peak season exclusive. I want to talk about the cowboy scene because it is the superior show, and I will die on this hill. If you were lucky enough to get the A unit, you stopped in a dusty frontier town. On your left, you had John Wayne sitting on a horse. On your right, Clint Eastwood, standing outside a saloon.
Someone's robbing the bank. Not on my watch, Pilgrim. Sit tight, folks. I'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. Your guide will return momentarily. Remain seated, please.
Hold it right there, hombre.
Oh, come on. You wouldn't shoot a guy in the back?
Oh, yeah? That's you, Miss Stringer. Ain't that right,
Reach for the sky. You're under arrest.
Keep going. Nothing doing.
Swing for this.
Nothing doing. Nobody's sticking my neck in the nose.
Time to sail up and ride. Yeah, giddy up. I'll meet you back at the hideout tonight. Hey, yokes in order, riding up into the sunset.
Now, for those of you who couldn't tell what was going on in that audio, what happens is that your guide has a moment of bravery and decides that in this sleepy little western town, they hear that the bank is being robbed, and in a moment of justice, decides to take action for themselves, steps out of the car, and wants to stop the bank robber themselves. However, it is a foolish moment, as the bandits' partner, Snakes, catches them by surprise. The finale of that scene, the hijacking, involved fire. Real fire. The bandit would light a stick of dynamite after the guide runs into the bank once the sheriff shows up to catch the bandit in the shootout and throws it into the bank. In 1989, that explosion was pretty violent. You felt the heat on your face. The windows of the bank blew out. Smoke billowed everywhere. Over the years, it was dialed down. By 2015, it was mostly orange lights, a puff of air, and a few flames. Nothing extreme. But there is a legend, and I have confirmed it with some opening crew members, as well as some original concepts, and corroborated it with some stories that I was able to find in some archives. The original concept for this scene was much, much darker. In the original rehearsals, the bandit didn't just chase the tour guide off the tram. They shot them. I'm serious. The original script called for the bandit to fire a blank at the tour guide. The guide's costume was rigged with a squib, a blood pack. The bandit would fire. The guide spun around, the squib explodes, and the guests would see a bloody shirt. Disney cut this before opening day. Apparently, watching your cheerful tour guide get murdered execution style was deemed not family friendly. Too dark, they said. Yeah, no kidding. I bet you Universal Studios would have done it, though. But somewhere in a warehouse, there is a polyester tuxedo with a blood packet sewn into it. A relic of the version of Disney World that almost was. Now let's go back and take a look at the show most of you saw. The Gangster. The scene was set in the underworld. You had an animatronic James Cagney from The Public Enemy, and you had the live actor Muggsy. There's a shootout with the rival car, Tommy guns are flashing, subwoofers are thumping, and then the confrontation. Muggsy walks up to the tram, the tour guide stands up. There was a dangerous moment right there. Operationally, this is the cast swap. The ride vehicle is stopped, the guide has to jump off. The gangster has to jump on. If the gangster doesn't hit the dead man's pedal, the foot switch, correctly, the ride e-stops, and the show shuts down. The gangster takes the wheel, the non-operational wheel, it's mostly for show. He looks at the red traffic light, and he delivers the iconic line, "Running a red light's against the law, and I never breaks the law." Raises his gun, pop! Shoots out the traffic light, it turns green. The ride moves. It's simple. It's effective. He's a bad guy, but he's got a code, or at least a sense of irony. So you've survived the shootout, the guide is gone, a villain is driving your car, you've just witnessed a high-stress operational cast swap disguised as a gangster film. But the ride isn't over. In fact, we are about to leave the human world entirely. When we come back, we're going to head into deep space. We're going to talk about why this attraction smelled like a burning tire fire for 20 years. And we're going to talk about an animatronic so dangerous it had a kill zone painted on the floor around it. Don't go anywhere. The ride is still in motion. We'll be right back. Welcome back. After the hijack, whether you had the cowboy or the gangster, the ride moves into the next scene.
This is Alien. You are with Sigourney Weaver aboard the spaceship Nostromo. Something has gone wrong. One by one, the crew has vanished. And somewhere in the ship, a terrifying creature waits to claim its next victim. Warning, remain in your vehicle. The area you are entering is extremely dangerous. Proceed with caution.
And this brings us to the sensory detail I promised you. The smell. The ride enters the spaceship Nostromo from the movie Alien. If you rode the Great Movie Ride, you know this smell. It wasn't the cookies smell on Main Street. It smelled like burnt rubber. It smelled like old pennies, like toxic chemicals, like a robot had just vomited. For years, fans have debated this. Was it a deliberate scent effect? Did Imagineering pump in a smell called industrial grime? Well, I did some digging. The smell wasn't a special effect. It was actually reality. Think about what is happening in that room. You are in a confined, air-conditioned tunnel. You have massive, high-torque hydraulic figures. The alien that attacks you from the ceiling is very, very heavy. It moves fast. It uses hydraulic fluid. Now, hydraulic fluid gets hot, and sometimes it leaks. Hot hydraulic fluid smells like burnt rubber. Now, add in the fog. That scene was pumped full of fog juice, usually a glycol-based fluid, for 14 hours a day, 365 days a year. And when glycol hits a hot light or a hot motor, it cooks. It creates a slightly acrid, sweet and sour chemical smell. So you combine leaking a hydraulic fluid, cooking fog juice, and 20 years of damp Florida humidity soaking into the walls, and you get the smell of the Nostromo. So that wasn't Disney magic. That was the smell of a machine slowly dying. And it was perfect. It made that scene terrifying because it triggered a primal something is wrong here instinct in your brain. There is one other thing about the alien scene. It contains the only piece of the original 1989 narration that survived until the very end. The voice of the ship's computer, Mother.
Danger. The emergency destruct system is now activated. The ship will detonate in T-minus 10 minutes. The option to
That wasn't just a story beat. That was a legal requirement. The clearance in that tunnel was tight. The alien dropped from the ceiling. If you stood up, you could get hurt. So they integrated the safety spiel into the horror. Remain in your vehicle. It's good advice when there's a xenomorph right above your head. So your hijacker, Muggsy or the bandit, gets their comeuppance in the Indiana Jones scene.
Here in Raiders of the Lost Ark, amid 1,000 deadly snakes, Indiana Jones unearthed a great treasure. Will Harrison Ford escape with his discovery? And what will be your fate? Beware. Dust of 3,000 years lies undisturbed in this ancient burial chamber. And on the chest of the great stone god, a priceless jewel.
Our bandit or gangster is brought in by the siren's call of a beautiful jewel high atop a temple. But, as we learn...
But the jewel is guarded by a curse. And those who dare defy that curse must pay with their lives.
Halt, unbeliever! Disturb the treasure of the gods, and you shall all pay with your lives.
And poof! Smoke and bones. Your original tour guide reappears, reclaiming the tram. But the real star of the show shows up next.
Who killed my sister? Who killed the Witch of the East? Was it you?
No, I didn't kill anyone. It was an accident.
Well, my little pretty, I can cause accidents too.
Oh, rubbish. You have no power here. Be gone before someone drops a house on you, too.
Very well. I'll bide my time. But just try to stay out of my way. Just try. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
I wonder how we get out of here. What do you folks think? Which way should we go?
Follow the yellow brick road.
Follow the yellow brick road. Why didn't I think of that? Sing along, folks. You know the words.
When this ride opened up in 1989, the Wicked Witch of the West audio animatronic was the most advanced robot on the planet. Now, she wasn't actually built by Disney Imagineering. She was built by a company called Sarcos. Now, if you know anything about animatronics, and if you're a nerd that listens to this podcast, I know you are. You know about the Disney Twitch. Old figures like the presidents in the Hall of Presidents or the pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean, they move with hydraulic fluid. The Sarcos model was different. The Wicked Witch of the West used something called compliance technology. Basically, the robot could sense resistance and adjust. It moved like a human muscle. It was fast. Terrifyingly fast. She could snap her wrist, point at you, and hunch her back faster than a human actor could. She didn't just rotate, she lunged. And because she moved so fast, she was legitimately dangerous. Backstage, on the floor of the Munchkin Land set, there was painted tape around her platform. I saw it myself when I was working there. We called it the kill zone. Legitimately. It wasn't just for, show. If you were a maintenance person or a cast member doing a track walk, you did not cross that tape if the witch was powered on. If she swung that broom and you were in the way, she wouldn't just bruise you, she would break bones. It was an industrial crusher dressed in black wool. There were stories, some true, some exaggerated, about maintenance workers getting clipped by her. But that sense of danger, you could feel it from the tram. When she screamed,
Who killed my sister? Who killed the Witch of the East? Was it you?
she wasn't looking at a focal point. She was looking right at you, right into your soul. And for a split second, your brain forgot it was a robot. Because robots don't move that fast. Wicked witches do. The end of the Great Movie Ride wasn't a bang. It wasn't an explosion like in the bank in the Wild West scene. It was a slow, painful fade to black. It started in 2015. Disney announced a new sponsor, Turner Classic Movies. On paper, it made sense. TCM loves movies, and Disney loves money. Perfect marriage. But operationally, it destroyed the soul of the ride. You see, before 2015, the tour guide was the star. They had 22 minutes of spiel. They were the narrator. They were the host. They had agency. After 2015, Robert Osborne took over. His voice was coming out of the speakers in the trams. And the live cast member, for the most part, was silenced. Their script was reduced to, essentially, a chaperone spiel. They stood there, and they nodded at speakers and said things like, "As Robert said," or "like Robert mentioned." It turned a moving theater into a museum tour with a security guard. The contract had been broken. When the ride closed in 2017 to make room for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, a lot of people were sad. I was definitely sad. But in my heart, the ride I loved had died 2 years earlier. So what is the legacy of the Great Movie Ride? It was often broken. It smelled like chemicals. The A-mode cowboy scene was extinct for half of the year because of budget cuts. The costumes were made of a fabric that I am convinced violates several world law protocols regarding torture. But it was ambitious. It tried to do something that a lot of rides with screens can't do. It tried to put you inside the frame of the movie. And while the credits may have rolled on the Great Movie Ride, the memories still remain. It was and still is one of the most unique attractions that Walt Disney World has ever built. And in my opinion, it will remain a legacy attraction one of its kind, that may never be repeated. Many have wanted something like this to come along, but sometimes you just can't make a sequel better than the original. And maybe that's the way it should be. Maybe we just need to hold on to the memory of what it was. And what it was exactly in its title. A great movie ride.
When you're terrific, if you're even good. For anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck, you may be done or done. Hooray for
I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Backstage Kingdom. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. I would love a good review. 5 stars is the best way to have this thing climb up the charts. I just got the ability to have paid advertisements, as you may have heard. And if you'd like a free version of this show, I might be launching a Patreon soon, so keep your ears out for that. Special thanks to my announcer, yours truly, Pat Dooley. You can follow him in the links in the show description. And, of course, thanks to all of you for listening. Now, of course, after this show is done, please exit out to your right. Make sure you have all of your personal belongings, and, of course, don't forget to give your hosts a rousing applause of standing ovation. Are you ready for your part? When I say action, you know what to do. And action! Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you at the movies.
You've been listening to the Backstage Kingdom podcast, produced and hosted by Michael Saint Gregory. Music and sound effects by Epidemic Sound. For all things theater and theme parks, follow Michael everywhere online at The Backstage Kingdom. New episodes arrive every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever podcasts are available. I'm your announcer, yours truly, Pat Dooley, signing off and reminding you to have a magical day.